0 seconds left, Nath. 5-minute timer, not enough. Just wait till you're finished before we introduce the show. I believe in you.
Finish. I've done it.
Hello. Welcome to the Honest Wargamer. We're your hosts for the Monday night show. My name's Ron. I'm joined by Nathan the Brave and James of Corn. We're also joined by, unfortunately, not Dan, but we'll talk about that more in a moment. Hello, team. Welcome to the show. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the chat. Joe Cryer, Jog PLC, Brian Sparello, what's going on? Thordelin, Warchebby, Matt Readiness, Retisanti. Hello, everyone. James, hello. Text me a bit more, why don't you? How are you?
Very well. How are you?
I'm really good, thanks. Only 3-word answers for the whole show if you could, because then without Dan here, we might get this done in like 45 minutes, if I'm honest.
I mean, it's a bank holiday. He's the dream.
Very verbose, that guy, especially when he's had a few vodka.
Yeah, he's the exact opposite of you, laconic and verbose.
Yeah, that's us.
Hello, Nate. How are you?
I'm grand. How are you doing?
Yeah, great. Thanks very much for asking. I'm just doing
I've just
fine.
seen some of that terrain. It looks fabulous.
Oh, thanks very much. The update on the terrain, if you like a percentage, is something I'm... Oh, fuck, when you actually think about it. I'm about 8% into the terrain. So...
Is that including the 40k terrain or not including the 40k terrain?
Who knows? Who knows at this point? But doing fine. Doing fine. Yeah, I'm doing well. James, how are you? Come on, catch me up. What's been going on?
Pretty good. Do you know, like, it's weird, right? It's been like only 4 days off, but it seems like I've had ages off. It's super good. I got a copy of Cursed City. That should be the news. I'll do that in the news.
Okay.
I'm good.
That's hobby.
I've played
whenever we do
two games of Warhammer this weekend.
That's also hobby. We'll catch it. Yeah, that's hobby. Who did you play? What did you play? Outside, in a garden, socially distanced, 18 feet.
Yeah, some lovely. Well, it's 6 people in a garden now, so I've only met one person in 2 gardens. Had a little game against Nick Thompson, some Zinch versus some Slanesh.
Your Zinch.
Yeah, I'm Zinch.
And how did you feel about his Slanesh force against your Zinch force?
It was interesting. I think there were things I probably could have done to play more horrible. But yeah, it was interesting, and it's a good game, and Nick's a good player, and it was interesting to play it out. But I think like that Slanesh book is kind of like janky and very expensive.
What, too many points per unit, you mean?
Yeah. Like those Blitzbow archers are kind of cool, but 160 points. They're like paying for summoning in their own right, and then they got mostly mullered by a spawn. I mean, it was a good roll, so I put a Chaos Spawn next to them, charged them, got a 12. I think I killed 8 or 7. 7, I think I killed with one spawn.
In one go?
Yeah.
Not very brave, are they, either? I don't imagine the rest stuck around.
I think they command pointed to stay around, I think.
Useful, because then you get a depravity point for that. So,
yeah.
Helpful. Okay, but fun game. How are you finding your new
good.
Zinch? Because this is your new Zinch force. I don't know if anyone's caught up or stayed abreast of it. And thank you to Retisanti for resubscribing. James is now a Zinch player, specifically.
Yeah, apparently so. It's fun. I like, you know, for ages, for however long I've done this show, however long that exists now, like you've always wangled on about Pink Horrors being your favourite. And there's just something lovely about their little faces as they reappear again and again and again.
Thank you. Thank you.
But I also like, so my spawns, so I've made the whole list to try and create lots of spawn, and I like the spawn doing stuff and doing this just as I hit them. Like I roll some dice and then just wave my arms around like a spawn.
Okay. All right, nice.
Yeah, that's it. It's great. Yeah.
Cosplayer spawn.
Yeah, I should do.
You should
Yeah.
cosplay as a Spawn. That would
How many
be
bad
great.
dragons would I need to borrow off Nathan to attach to me, do we think?
It's just a morph suit, and you just stick dildos all over it, and that is the
Excellent.
perfect Spawn, I think. I thought James was a competitive corn player now. The stats don't lie. That's true.
Haven't played it yet.
Yeah.
It might not be competitive when I do.
Nathan Prescott, catch me up, and how are you?
I'm grand, thank you. I got my first game of that TTS thing in for 6 years, or however long it is since I last played that game. It's changed a bit on the table as well. It looks very pretty. So yeah, had a game with my teammate, Mr. Budtastic Guy. All one word. Some of them are uppercase, some of them aren't.
It's his birthday today, so happy birthday to Mr. Budtastic Guy.
Merry birthday, Bud.
Merry birthday to you, Bud. Stay hydrated. And how was that game? What did you play with? Your new Skaven force?
Yes, I played with my Molder Rats versus his Elephant Beast Claw Raiders, whatever they are.
The Thunder Tusks.
Yeah. And yeah, rats. Elephants are still scared of rats, so there you go.
You beat up the elephants?
Well, I killed quite a few of them, and we were playing Blood and Glory because that's not the first game plan in the scenario. So we could have practiced that, but we played Blood and Glory, and of course he's got Thunder Tusks, so they all just moved forward, and there was a gnaw hole at the back, so yes, so I could just put some dudes through, and so I think it was turn 4 I could have run on, but we decided to kill stuff instead. So yeah, we killed stuff instead. But yeah, the rats are fun. I'm glad. I'm pretty happy with my army. So yeah, I'm in.
If anyone doesn't know what that's relating to, most of the co-hosts of the Honest Wargamer show are organised by Mamdare, are in a co-host battle. James has got a game against my co-host Nick. So James, I wish you all misfortune potentially ever. But you're playing with a Khorne army, which is obviously brilliant. Nathan has got a Skaven force. I've got a Slaanesh force. You guys chose the list, as you know. You were part of it. Hey, Mr. Tiga, thanks for subscribing, by the way.
I don't know why anyone's talking about it, to be honest.
Why?
Because me and Owen are going to win. Nothing else needs talking about.
0% chance, because I'm playing Owen, and I'm gonna bitch slap his Dragon Ogres to next week. That's my plan anyway.
I know where your office is. I've just cutted your cable halfway through. If you do it again.
Joke's on you. We haven't got cables. We're stealing electricity from next door. They don't even know. Right, today's show we're going to be talking about Broken Realms Teclis and the Nurgle element of it, and also Settlers Gain, which is the city. We're going to be deep diving that and having a conversation about that. There's also the news to talk about as well, which should be super fun. I think there was something else that I was going to bring up. I can't remember what it was. Oh, I'm just going to say hello to everyone in the chat. Thanks for being here.
You're going to ask Dan how his hobby's gone.
Of course. Where's Dan? That's the point. Dan, where are you, you gorgeous man? So I will read the press release about Dan. That's right, everyone, buckle up for the press release.
From the Canadian Mounted Police Force, we have apprehended this.
Okay, here we go. A miniseries was written by Dan Sway, has been accepted into a film festival in London, so I have to record a bunch of interviews tomorrow. That's right, it's called Inadequate, and the link is in the chat. Oh no, I've not put it in the chat. Hold on. 1 second. It is now in the chat and will be in the show notes. That's right. Our co-host has written a series. It goes live tomorrow, Tuesday the 6th. Tickets available then. Audience vote for their favourite show. Screening of the first 3 episodes of a 6-part series called Inadequate, written by Daniel Say, filmed and set in Sydney, Australia. Okay, all social media thumbs up will help. So if you are listening to this and you can in any way influence it, the link is in the chat. I will read the blurb if you would like. If Nathan, are you interested in the blurb?
Sure, tell me the blurb.
Written by Dan. A grubby 6-part comedy nightmare of drugs, obnoxious millennials, and a little lies we tell ourselves every day. When Sarah meets Kaylee, the slippery slope that is her inability to admit she's out of her depth quickly lands her face to face with the self-titled pharmaceutical entrepreneur, Dirk.
Can I just point something out?
Yes, please.
If everyone goes to the webpage that you linked and then goes to the Instagram link, at the very bottom of those Instagram photos is a very good photo of Dan.
Oh my god, I'm in it. Let me do it one moment. Dirk is a local drug lord who mistakes her big noting about a business degree for interest in becoming a dealer. Before she knows it, Sarah is 20 grand in debt to a cartel, waging a sex war and burdened with a sorry quiche. There's also the little problem of what to do about that dead body. Whew. So that is, how do you guys feel about the script? A little bit of a review of Dan's...
Sounds like Dan every Monday morning for him.
It does. Real question, what rating do we give it on IMDb? 10. Let's all pump the stats. This is what we're here for. This is the Honest Wargamer, but it is not the Honest Film Review crew or TV Review crew, so let's fucking lie. Oh, it looks great. I'm excited about it. You guys excited? Yeah? Do you think it'll be verbose, Nathan?
Probably. I don't know why it's called inadequate, but that's cool. Let's find out. I bet, we've got to give it loads of, what are they called? Rotten tomatoes. Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do that. Let's give him all the rotten tomatoes. So that's where Dan is today. So Dan can't be here today, unfortunately. He is doing press junkets and the like. So good luck to Dan. Thanks to Progressive Scruff for resubscribing. Okay, on to the news section of the show. And there's been some pretty massive news. James, do you want to kick us off with the news from Saturday? This is where you want to go. So this is the news section.
Finally got a copy. Definitely got a copy of Cursed City. Okay. Shouted at the Games Workshop website several thousand times. And got a key.
You got a key?
Got a key to the city.
Nathan, I don't know if you know this, but if you ordered off the Games Workshop website main, there was a key available to Ulfenheim, or whatever it's called, Ulkenheim, or whatever. And I think there were 5,650 copies. James has got one. They're currently selling on eBay for like £80 to £90.
Dumb, right?
Are you thinking of selling one, James?
Key.
For a key.
A metal key.
No lock.
But I reckon you could get into that city pretty easy anyway, so...
The zombies did. Just get buried, you come back.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of keys. Is that?
Yeah. I reckon somebody's not going to lock it behind them, are they? So you just fucking go in.
That's true. I agree with you. Yeah, that makes loads of sense. James, are you going to sell the key? Is this a thing?
I don't really know. I'm going to wait. I'm going to have it. I'm going to make my decision then, I guess.
Okay. After you've polished it.
Yeah, maybe just polish it, hold it on stream, maybe get Dan to lick it, see if it sells for more. Okay. I was saying, actually, like, it's interesting, right? Because it's technically an Age of Sigmar game.
It is, technically.
And there's a key that they could have made 3 inches with a 2-inch bit and a 1-inch bit, and it would have been a really good item that everyone would have been great. And used. And instead, it's just a piece of metal.
This is why you're the merch grot.
Apparently so.
Maybe... Yeah. Have you measured what size it actually is? Maybe it's for new Age of Sigmar 3. Maybe we pile in 8 inches, and the other distance is like, I don't know, 2 or something. Not sure what that's useful for, but something.
Who knows?
Okay. It's apparently, is it filled with chocolate? Is that true?
I wish. Can you imagine? It'd be like the most expensive chocolate anyone had ever brought if it was that expensive.
Maybe it's a Willy Wonka situation. If the key unlocks Games Workshop HQ, you become the new owner.
Imagine. You get 50% off and everything.
Stu Redacted, good evening. I forgot it was Monday. Thanks for the reminder. Stu, good luck to you, baby. Key to the TSN studio gauge when? Never. We're not doing that as a thing. James, thoughts about buying like 800 different keys from China and then maybe just giving one away with every purchase of an objective ring or something.
Yeah, fine. Let's just do it.
It could be the key
not
to your
cut.
heart.
Not cut. And if you get one that is cut, it's to my house and you can move in.
All right,
And that's when Thingy buys every single one. Dayton buys every single one.
every single one. Yeah. So we can get you. How do you, Nathan? Did you pick up a copy of Curse City? Twitch chat. Who picked up a copy of Curse City?
Yeah, I've got one on order through Alchemist's Workshop, I think they are called. So there you go.
Amazing.
I don't think there's a key, but there we go.
Oh, thanks to
I think I'll be all right.
thanks to Dan the Kraken for subscribing. Appreciate you. That's very lovely. First time you've subscribed. That's awesome. I have loads of keys. I don't know what their force is, K-Dread. Me too. That's all.
I've got keys on my keyring in my pocket, and I'm like, what the hell's this key for? And then I realized one of them is for the TSN's arena. I was looking at it in the week. I was like, what the fuck is this key for? And then I realized I know where it's for. Yeah.
I like the fact you have it, but
I identified 3 of them. I've still got one. I don't know what it's for. But
by the way, we fixed that leak.
Yeah, to turn the tap.
Yeah, it's all fixed. Replaced the stopcock. Rang 7 Trent, the whole business. I know this is not really like podcast worthy news, but I just thought I'd let Nathan know there was a leak. It got solved by the local builder. Yeah, thankfully he was an aquatic animal, so he was able to deal with it. So
is it that bad? Did he have to go underwater?
No, it was only a tiny leak, really. It wasn't a big deal. However, we have got the TSN Arena sign getting made, which is quite exciting to go on the front, but more on that later anyway.
Is it in metal?
Is it a metal sign?
Yeah.
No, it's actually made completely of recycled sprue, so it's good for the environment.
Nice. It's
taking me fucking ages to make.
To print it. Can you put those recycled screws in your printing machines?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. But I think Games Workshop are Games Workshop are doing something where they're recycling old sprues, so you can take them in. Or that was something they were planning on doing. They put it in one of their reports, didn't they?
I think it gets asked about now, doesn't it? Every time anyone brings up like their environmental standpoint. So I feel like it might just be an exercise of them kind of nodding along. Whereas actually, I think if they did, it'd be great.
No, I think they 100% are. Like, I'll be the first one. Yeah, 100%. I think it's like part of their business model as well. Also, super sensible, because if they can turn it into plastic that they're going to use and it's cost effective, right? They basically flog us. I don't know, like we return sprue, we're basically returning 80% of what we've bought per box, right?
And then they can sell it back to us again.
Again later. Like, so they're just winning. There's no way that that's not a genius business plan. So I think they're 100% doing that. Is the sign made from around 6,000 keys? No, because currently they're 80 quid, but in 3 months they'll be £4 or a penny or whatever they'll be on the internet. There needs to be a book of Nathan quotes, says Dan the Kraken. I would buy the shit out of that, lol. I just do it in limited stock. You'll sell the shit out of it. I'm in. Nathan,
5,750.
No, limited stock. Only 8 copies.
Because I've only said 8 things. Each
no,
one
it'll be full of Nathan quotes.
Inside. Yeah. Oh, all right.
James, do you want to get into the bookmaking industry? It
yeah,
can make you loads of money.
I think making anything with Nathan's face on would sell well.
Just literally anything. Or even Nathan's face.
Yeah.
Just cut off his face and sell it.
No, we'll 3D print his face and sell it.
Okay.
Like, that'll sell really well. Anyway, yeah, I think lots of people buy one. Okay, so news. Curse City came out. The War Scrolls are super disappointing. Bit of a worry there. That means that the Gravelord's book is going to be done by the bin guy. More on that later, but probably it looks like at the moment. But maybe not. Maybe it's just he does the special project stuff and then they won't put him on the new book, which we can only hope, because I'm very excited about the vampires. I don't know about you guys. And then the other news...
I reckon I'll have a death army then. By the time I've painted up Curse City and I add my zombie side army to it, it's a fucking death army. I've got 60 odd zombies in the zombie side box and a necromancer and everything. So yeah,
Not to bring up past traumas to you, Nathan, but are they on the right base?
Yeah. They're on little round bases.
What
And
size are those bases, though?
They will be 25 mil by the time I've finished with them.
Yeah, zombies apparently could be quite good in the game, but we'll see. Like, we got to wait for the actual book to come out, right? Yeah. There's no scrolls on the deads, right? Only the heroes. There's scrolls. There's new scrolls. There's new skeleton warrior
the
scroll.
deads are open. The zombies. There's a Vargskir.
Vargskir. Yeah, they're all really disappointing.
Why
if
is
it helps
basically
anyone out.
silent. Have to make that noise.
How did you guys read the war scrolls by any chance?
I looked at some of the hero ones, and I think off the top of my head, Okrin Glimskry is the only one that might be of major use.
The
weird guy with the beard.
Okay. Oh, you mean for the Cities of Sigmar?
Yeah.
The wizard dude.
Yeah. Okay.
Because if they point him really poorly, like 60 points,
no, he'll
be in all of
points.
them.
The points are out as well. How have you not seen the points?
I don't know. I didn't look that hard.
I can't avoid it. People are just like, they just throw it into my inbox. Like, they're just like, here's a picture. You're like, okay. Anyway, my heart is Guy Zaidi, who's very excited about the new Grave Lords, is like, why is the bin guy doing the book? I'm not saying he definitely is doing the book. I'm just saying the bin guy did the War Scrolls for Curse City.
I mean, I'm looking at the Skeleton Warriors War Scroll, and there's not one in addition on it.
And that's how you know.
No sin man has been there.
Right, I say other news, which is quite exciting, and we've just found this out a minute ago, is the dad and daughter. Let's talk about this. I don't know if you guys seen this today.
I saw them very briefly a minute ago.
Yes, Galen Vendenst and his daughter. New heroes joining the ranks of the Cities of Sigmar. So they look like more witch hunters are joining the Cities of Sigmar. So it seems the Cities of Sigmar are getting like a huge kind of like anti-death proponent to it. So he is a veteran who has hunted many a vampire and the undead. And his daughter, who has a very spaced out look to her. I don't know if you've seen the model.
She's got a 5 head.
She is. She is.
Luckily, she's got a hat choice.
Hopefully, in a mask as well. Who is? I don't know. I didn't take the time to research this, so I'm just going to cavalierly say this right now and hope that it's true. But is that not just like a giant fucking crossbow? Like, aren't crossbows
enormous crossbow?
Yeah. Like,
in the description, it says she's got a gigantic crossbow that she uses to shoot special bolts or something.
Wouldn't that be quite hard to crank?
She doesn't skip arm day, just like
Speak for yourself.
It'd be a winder, wouldn't it? Oh, yeah, it's got a winder. She'd wind.
I still think it would take her a while.
Probably. She only shoots one a turn, probably. So.
Yeah.
She's got a whole turn, and if she's against Croak, she's got like a 25-minute hero phase, so it's fine.
But they look cool. They look cool, and it's also nice. I think these are part of. Have they said that they're part of a black library fiction? I feel like they might be, based on.
They're part of the Broken Realm books. Yeah.
I imagine there's also a accompanying black library book, which would be very exciting.
Do you want to know my favourite bit?
Please do.
On their description, quite when the Vendenst will make an appearance remains a mystery for now. Somewhere on this whatever canal, our boat stuck, is the translation.
Well, I'd like to draw your attention to Galen Vendenst, because he has got like a crest on his breastpiece, which seems to have like an S shape. For Sigmar, and it's very like Superman-esque, and I wonder if you guys think maybe they might be doing a kind of like Superman rip-off with an S for Sigmar.
Can you imagine? And the Sigmar model that's just like Superman action figures rebranded with a beard.
The hammer.
That'd be great.
I'm so happy that I didn't buy Curse City. Almost it did it because of the Witch Hunter model, says Marcus Rock. So here's some other Witch Hunters as well. As I imagine that there'll be something that we'll see also included in Curse City at some point.
Yeah, I'm guessing they'll have rules, right? I'm going to put this out there because I'm going to say it. If I was in a bar, had a few beers, maybe I had no beers actually, because I'm looking at them sober now, and I saw these two together. I think the dad's a 10 as a model. She's like a 4.
Oh, you don't like her as a model?
She's okay, but I think like he's like super dynamic, super cool, like got loads of character. If you had 50 of her, she'd make like an old school unit, I feel.
Well, there is a different version of her with a hat, if you haven't seen
the hat's better, but he's still cooler, I think.
He's very cool. He's unarguably cool. He's got like a bunch of swords. He's got that little pistol. He's very, very cool. Very awkward to paint, I think, because of all the straps. Nathan, question. Is it hard to pick out all the detail when someone is covered in lots of leather straps?
No, not really. Just have to, just apply yourself. You'll be fine.
Thank you. I like hearing advice from her. Right, okay. I think that's all the news. Kragnos is on the way. Also on order this weekend, if we've got to talk about it, is the most amazing Underworld's warband ever. The Quad Vampires are going on pre-order this weekend for insanely incredible sculpts. I'd like you to know that, yes, I will be purchasing this. Didn't pick, obviously not using it in Underworlds because, and I hope John is here. Fuck you, John. It's the worst. But I know some people love Underworld, so you're obviously brilliant people. But I'm definitely picking this up. 100% picking this warband up. At pre-order stage. I'll be like, doop. I'm excited for this. What about you?
I thought one of them was rubbish. So I was going to argue with you. And then I opened them. And I remembered actually they're all cool, so
they're all...
I won't buy them because I'll never use them. But I think if I was buying that new, if I intended to buy the new Vampire Army, even if these are dog rough, I'd be buying them to fit in a unit or replace a hero. They're great.
11 out of 10 models, right?
Yeah, the sword guy is my favorite. I think
the sword guy,
Hand of Justice guy.
Nah, it's Mace guy for me.
It's because you bludgeon things. I just jab in and out.
It's true. It's very true. Nathan, have you got a favourite of the 4?
I like the lady one with the sword on her shoulder. She's pretty cool.
She's very cool. Yeah. Very dynamic, right? So then Underworlds is out, but again, give a shit. And then some dice again.
They're hideous. Those dice, I'd like to say.
Okay, let's scroll back to them a moment. They are.
Those marble ones offend me.
Is that only because they literally look like an outfit you wore when you were 16 listening to My Chem? Because they're not far off.
Probably.
Yeah.
Horrible. In my old age, they offend me.
But yeah, I'm 100% picking up that Underworld's warband. And again, for no intent to play in a game, nothing like that. They are just 100% landing on my pile of shame to one day. I don't even need to pre-order them; they'll be there forever. But I just want them to one day. I'm gonna paint these bad boys because they're just glorious. So Owen in the chat says that's a smash bat, the little bastard, talking about the tiny guy.
He's quite cool. He's the ugliest one, I think.
I think they're all brilliant, man. Honestly,
they're
I don't
great,
think there's...
but I think if I was going to paint them, I'm like, oh, you're the worst one.
Really?
Yeah.
I think initially he just looks like a young lad. Just on the up and up. He's just working hard on his day.
Yeah, I think if they were going on holiday, he'd carry all the bags.
He'd carry the bags?
Yeah.
What?
That's my job.
I thought the big lad would carry the bags.
No. He's like the bruiser. He's at the bar, and the other two are doing it.
Yeah.
If
So
vampires
we
do-
know that Bellacore isn't. So someone asked in the chat. We know that Bellacore isn't next week, and it might not be the weekend after to go on pre-order. It might be. It might do. But we expect Bellacore to be fairly soon as well. If we start to see some of the models ASAP, so looking forward to that as well. But that's really all the news. Some kick-ass new things are out, and there's some stuff on pre-order. When does actually Curse City land? Is it this weekend that you get to pick it up and play with it?
No idea.
Yeah, people should start getting them Saturday or Friday, maybe Saturday. I reckon.
Yeah, I'm so excited both of you have picked it up. That's going to be super fun. It means I definitely never have to, and you guys can take me through it the one time anyone ever plays it, and then we'll be done, which will be nice.
I've played every one of the campaigns in every game.
I know you
So
have.
I'll play it all. Just because you'll only play one game with me and get annoyed because you're rubbish. Rubbish. did the wrong side of my hand for my whispering.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Okay, that's all the news. So should we just get on to the main part of the show? Quite early, really. Really missing Dan. This is taking only 35 minutes.
Yeah.
Lumineth on Bank Holiday weekend pains me. I'll get my shit on Tuesday, says Shugo. Yeah, all the Lumineth stuff is people have got Lumineth stuff in their hands as well at the moment. And have you seen the size? Have you seen the size of the shrine?
Yeah.
Huge. Have you got it? You got it?
I didn't buy any of it.
Oh, really?
I didn't
How
buy a
come?
thing. Because Curse City was coming and I wanted that. And I've got this Zinch thing, and I can't be bothered to learn the Lumineth at the minute. So I'm gonna give it. I think I said ages ago, but like I'm not gonna buy a book until an FAQ's out anymore.
Okay. I mean,
So like if a big like the next Stormcast release, I'm probably gonna buy all of it. So like if it comes out and there's a box set, or if it comes out and there's like a hero I want, I'll probably buy that. But I'm not gonna buy like an army until an FAQ anymore. I don't think.
it's a very sensible decision. It also doesn't go anywhere. I think like the desire on pre-order day to just be like, I got in, I ordered it, and then it's like, yeah, it's going to be there for years.
Yeah,
Like,
I think like the Curse City thing as well. I have to say like, I went on the shop and just went in to order one, and like, I did that because I know they've said they'll continue to release it, but I also know that other people have said that they're not going to make any more. But actually, like that experience of trying to buy something. So I think I've refreshed my page about 15 times to get it in the basket, and about 15 times to pay, and then about 5 times to get PayPal to go through. I think like it's just a horrible shopping experience.
it
So
is.
I'd
What would
rather
you
buy
prefer?
one 2 weeks later. Well, I just for it to work.
That's fair. Nathan, how did you get on with your computer machine? How did you make it work?
I used the little one that you talk into, the little telephone one. It took a couple of times. It just took a long time for the little circle thing to finish going around and round and round. But then when that finished, then it was there.
It's a good experience.
So I just put it on the side, and then carried on with the barrow and stuff, and every now and again look at the circle, and it was just going around and round and round and round and round, and then eventually it stopped going around, and I could just say yes, or whatever it is that I had to do. So I didn't have to refresh it. I just had to wait for the circle to finish going around. That's all.
Yeah, James, you idiot.
I think it was an interesting one actually, because I spoke to a few people. Like I went on at 10 and was like, "Oh, just buy it and then get on with my day." And I think like a lot of people had a better time, didn't they? At like I don't know, like an hour later or whatever it was, 2 hours later.
Mm-hmm.
But then by 11:30, was it? It was gone.
I think it wasn't even then. I think it was like closer to 11.
And I just think like I'd have been. I think it was one of those things, like normally it's not something I'd bother to do, but I just know that it was the one thing that Workshop have released in a long time where I was like, if I don't get a copy of this, I'll be sad. And I do not want to pay £200 for it on eBay.
That's true. That's fair. That's super fair. All right, let's talk about this Nurgle thing, shall we? Let's talk about this Nurgle thing. Let's talk about Broken Realms Teclis. So,
I had it open. Hang on.
Broken Realms Teclis also featured some other forces. There was an FEC bit, so Flesh Eater Corpse bit. So gash, we're not bothered to talk about it. That's where we're at. Yeah? So, if you're like, I can't wait to hear about that Flesh Eater Corpse update, you're in the wrong place. However, the Nurgle one and also the Cities of Sigmar one, so Settlers Gain and the Nurgle update, which featured some War Scroll changes, is actually genuinely really exciting, both for competitive play and also just for regular play. So it's super cool. So let's talk about it, shall we? We'll start with Nurgle, because there's some really big takeaways from here. There's been 3 War Scroll changes for Nurgle. Nathan, a lot of people keen for you to read out kind of the narrative of this. So if you wouldn't mind, would you mind taking us through the Sloppity Bile Piper update?
The Sloppity Bile Piper, the Herald of Nurgle. Sloppity Bile Pipers caper through the ranks of Nurgle's legions as they advance. Infected with a plague of mirth, they prance and quip, entertaining their fellow demons, even as they cause the enemy to literally die laughing.
Perfect.
Go.
So, give us the stats.
So, a Sloppity Bile Piper is armed with a Marotta. Nice. Oh, where'd he go? So, he's movement 4, got 5 wounds, 5 up save, and he's bravery 10. So brave.
So brave.
Fuck. Yeah. And he carries with him that Marotta thing.
Yeah.
What a weird name for a thing. Okay, it's 1 inch range, 4 attacks, 4s and 3s. It's got -1 rend. The Marotta. And does damage too. What the hell is a Marotta? Is it the bagpipe?
Yeah, it's going to make you die laughing.
Why has it got rend? Why is
it's not the Marotta. The Marotta isn't the bagpipe. The Marotta is his stick. I don't know. It's a special magical stick. Yeah.
I also like the fact it's called Marotta. Like you can't say my properly. My rotter.
Marotta.
It rots people.
Yeah.
Ah.
Marotta.
Oh, yeah.
It's Marotta.
Marotta.
Yeah.
Oh well. Yeah, so if you get hit with a Marotta and you got a helmet, it probably won't help. So,
Potentially 8 damage coming out of Sloppity Bile Piper, though.
Yeah.
Hero.
Yeah.
That's what they
a legend.
needed. Buff the best named character in the realms.
I mean, he should have just had 10 attacks flat, 2s, Ren 4, damage 10. That's the only thing we would have been accepted. But this is
500 points.
No, 80 points. Must be in every Nurgle list. Dave, what abilities does this fella have? Ignoring the 5-up DPR he obviously has because he is a Nurgle.
Oh, yeah. He is disgustingly resilient. Also, he has Disease of Mirth. Plague bearers become even more stubbornly morose when forced to listen to the Bile Piper's jokes. Ah, okay, he tells those sort of jokes. While Nurgle's other demons find them hilarious. Oh, okay, maybe it's just plague bearers. They just don't have a sense of humor. Right, so add 1 to the bravery characteristic of friendly Nurgle demon units wholly within 14 of any Sloppity Bile Pipers. Okay. Just because of their jokes, okay. Then, Jolly Rat Gups. Yeah.
Oh,
sorry.
Nathan, hold on, because what jokes he tells are quite important, because I've got a joke about chemistry, if you want to hear it.
Go on, then.
Nah, I don't think it'll get a reaction, so I'll leave it.
Oh. Very good.
I need a help sign.
That would have increased somebody's bravery by 1, maybe. Jolly Gut Pipes. Bile Pipers have a suitably revolting repertoire to draw upon in battle. So at the start of the combat phase, you can say that this model will play a revolting tune. If you do so, pick one of the following tunes. The effect of that tune lasts until the end of that phase. A unit cannot benefit from a tune more than once per phase. If a unit is affected by 2 or more different tunes, none of the tunes have an effect of that on that unit in that phase. So the first,
huge. These are huge. I want you to know. So, but keep going.
So, but it's quite interesting that if you've got 2 of them, then you don't get any of them. So anyway, a stabbing we will go.
But it's also
Add
automatic,
one to
right?
the attack.
Like, you just choose. You like, there's no command point, no roll, it's not a prayer, it's just in your army. So, yeah.
So add 1 to the attacks characteristic of the melee weapons used by friendly Nurgle demon units that are wholly within 14 of any friendly Softly Bile Pipers playing this tune. There we go. Then the next one, early one evening, my pustule was seeping. If the unmodified hit roll for an attack made by a friendly Nurgle demon unit only within 14 of any friendly Softly Bile Pipers playing this tune is a 6, that attack inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target in addition to any normal damage.
Mm-hmm.
And then, my love is like a ripe fart. Enemy models within 3 of friendly Nurgle demon unit that is wholly within 14 of any friendly Soppity Bile Pipers playing this tune cannot finish pile-in moves closer to a model than from that unit than they were at the start of the move.
Yep. So, how do you feel about some of these? James, you got any thoughts jumping straight off this? +1 attack, mortals on 6s to hit, and of course, not piling in are the 3 available buffs. Got any vibes or feelings?
I just like the names of the songs. He's great.
Okay.
Gonna see more. They're interesting, right? Because it almost gives you a guaranteed buff that doesn't need anything for kind of most scenarios that you'd want.
Yeah. Well, so let's talk about what so he's gone up by 60 points. His save has been reduced by 1. So thanks, Pete, for that information. He's very slow. He's movement 4, but don't forget he's in an army that can kind of run and charge, so he can be quite fast. There's also the wheel and also a big, great and clean one with a bell. So you can get a very fast Nurgle force ultimately. And in order for any of these abilities to work, he doesn't need to be he can run.
It's just bellowing, right?
Yeah. But, as we go on to talk about it, he can make some units so good. So you think about the +1 attack, but probably the one that's really important is the 6s to hit, cause a mortal wound. One of the big problems that Nurgle has had for a very long time is he's had access to a very, very good spell, Blaze of Putrefaction, where 6s to hit, cause a mortal wound. However, it's been really hard for him to cast that, and it hasn't made it much into competitive play. I think right now, Soppity Bile Piper, and then as we go through him, Spot Scrivener, you're going to be able to write some top-end competitive Nurgle lists. Really, really good. Those 6s to hit, causing a mortal wound, and you only need to be in range. It's wholly within 14, but it's not super hard to achieve, especially on something like Plague Bearers, who were already defensive. So they're already got loads of inbuilt defense. So now you can stack offense on them. So any 60 hit, cause a mortal wound, you haven't got to do anything. But when we get on to the next guy, Spot Scrivener, we can add some more bonuses. Not forgetting, of course, that you've got Great and Clean One can give +1 attack to demon units. So already you can have Plague Bearers with an extra attack already. So you don't need to do it via this system. So we've already got that available. You've already got, if you wanted to, and for some reason you had Glockkin in your list, you can make those Plague Bearers have 2 wounds each and have +1 attack. So you've got, some good stacking ability here. You can go pretty wild. Also, +1 attack works on Plague Drones, stuff like that. You could do some pretty fantastic stuff, but we'll talk about that more in a bit. Also, that +1 attack stacked with another +1 attack. There's a lot of plus attacks now available in this army, so it's really good.
It's quite interesting. Sorry, I'm just jumping in. It's quite interesting just because I re-skimmed it. That they've actually put in a thing that says if a unit is affected by 2 or more of these abilities, then neither works. It's quite cool to see that they've basically written out having 3 sloppy bile pipers running with your army.
Yeah, because you would. I mean, if you could stack his +1 attack and his mortal wounds thing, that would make them super tight. But obviously, when we get to the next guy, has also got a +1 attack.
Well, so thanks to Desert Sketch for pointing it out. It says if a unit is affected by 2 or more different tunes. So just so you know, it's not 2 different, it's 2 or more different tunes. I think he's assuming that what that means, you can't stack the auras from the same character. I think Desert Sketch has read that, and he thinks that it's, as I read that, it's not, you could have the same 2 tunes on them.
Yeah, they don't. It's just that it's just so you only get 1 buff, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, however, that's not a problem because next up, Spoil Spock Scrivener. Nate, take us through this fella.
Spoilpox Scrivener, Herald of Nurgle. Spoilpox Scrivener keeps a strict watch over the tallying efforts of plague bearers. Should the enemy stray too close, the heralds bite their heads off and their limbs with their huge distended maws, or blanket the enemy in a diseased mucus with an almighty sneeze. Okay, cool.
He looks
So-
like the Nurgle version of. There was a TV show when we were kids, and the bad guys were kind of purple aardvarks, if you remember. Pink and purple aardvarks. Does anyone remember what the TV show was? Like a long.
Wasn't it just called the Aardvarks?
No.
Not the raccoons.
Yeah, was it the raccoons with the?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the evil guy. He looks like the evil guy from the raccoons.
Yeah, he 100% does. 100% does, but made of Nurgle, basically. Thanks very much. Anyway, Nate, take us through what he does.
So, well, he's got 5 wounds, 5 up save, very brave, 10 bravery, only moves 4. He shoots disgusting sneezes, which go 6 inches, doing D6 attacks that hit on 2s and wound on 4s, don't have any rend, and they do damage 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then in a fight, he's got his distended maw, which is 2-inch range, 2 attacks. He's got a big mouth. 3s to hit, 3s to wound, rend 1, and 2 damage.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, he's got loads of damage as well. Yeah, great.
Same as a Mega Gargant, actually. I want to point that out. I don't know if anyone.
Yeah, the same damage profile as one of them big clubs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ah,
Wielded by a mountain of muscle.
yeah. Well, there you go.
Same rend. Oh no, different rend. Rend 2. Anyway, what does he do? Give me his keep counting ability.
So, well, he's also got the resilient save, but he's got keep counting on watching you. Spoilpox Scriveners are responsible for making sure that the plague bearers of their Taliban do not shirk. Yeah. At the start of the combat phase, you can say that this model will call for 1 count. If you do so, pick 1 friendly plague bearer unit wholly within 14 of this model, and pick 1 of the following counts for that unit to carry out. The effect of that count lasts until the end of that phase. A unit cannot carry out more than 1 count per phase.
Mm-hmm.
So the counts are, the first one is tally of blows. Add 1 to the attacks characteristic of melee weapons used by a unit carrying out this count.
Mm-hmm.
Then studied lacerations. Improve the rend characteristic of the melee weapons used by this unit carrying out this count by 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then recorded stamina. Add 1 to save rolls for attacks that target a unit carrying out this count.
It's good, right?
Yeah, at the start of the combat phase. So it only happens in combat phase again. But yeah. I mean, again, those are all you want. You really want all of them. So, but you can't get all of them. So you just be choosing 1 count.
Well, I think the important point now is to quickly talk about some of the overlapping buffs. So Plague Bearers have got a 5 up save, 1 wound, and they're very brave at bravery 10. And don't forget they move 4. But they've got 1 attack in combat that hits on 4s, wounds on a 3, no rend, and 1 damage. However, what you can do now is you can stack +1 attack and mortals to hit on 6s, or +2 attacks from those 2 different sources if you ran these Spoilpox and also Sloppity behind a block of 30. So you could have 30 attacks, or you could have 20 attacks. Well, sorry, you could have 30 attacks from 10 of them, or 90 attacks from 30 of them, or you could have 60 attacks that do any 6s to hit are going to cause a mortal wound, which is quite nice, because really the thing about Plague Bearers for a very long time, thank you Sheltog, you can also add an attack from Great Unclean One, and if you wanted to go mental, there's also another attack available from the Glotkin. So you can, I think, have 4 attacks per one, and 6s to hit are going to cause a mortal wound, which is pretty wild.
The Glotkin's one hell of a tax.
Yeah, I mean, he's not terrible, the Glotkin. Like, he
Isn't he
dies
600 points, though?
No, he's 400 points now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like, he's
It's
pretty
been
good.
a long time since I've seen one.
Yeah. You're right. So, Prop Joe's making some really good points in the chat as well. Don't forget, as well as Nurgle Demons, reduce Ren by 1 in 2 of the ever-chosen sub-factions, so there's a little bit of a bonus there. O'Neill's pointing out something to note is that Plague Drones also have the Plague Bearer keyword. I think one of the issues is putting Plague Drones and having them wholly within range of these guys. The reason I really like Plague Bearers, specifically, though, for these buffs, not that I think Plague Drones are bad at all, one of the things that I like about them, of course, is the fact that they have this rule, which is Cloud of Fires. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks that target this unit in the shooting phase, but if it got 20 or more models, you subtract 2 from the hit rolls that target it in the shooting phase, and 1 from the hit rolls for attacks that target this unit in a combat phase. So in a Nurgle art, and they're also obviously got a Disgusting Resilience save of a 5-up. So they're effectively kind of got like a 5-up DPR on top of their armor save, which is pretty strong. So those 30 wounds being -1 to hit, and then also obviously you've got Geminids and some other stuff you could throw around if you wanted to. But just like an innate -1 to hit and then being able to stack plus attacks, I feel like is a really nice play and works quite nicely. But you could go the other way and make them even tankier, right? Add +1 to their save. If they're near a Nurgle hero, they get to reroll 1s, so that's pretty tanky as well, so you can make them quite survivable. So I quite like the idea of being able to move them up as a mobile kind of block, and then if you want, you could take a punch by turning on these abilities, because the important point about when you use these abilities is that you use them in the combat phase, I'm pretty certain, for Sportsbox Scrivener, which means that you can do it in your opponent's phase as well. And also for Sloppity Bilepiper. So at the start of the combat phase is for Sloppity, and at the start of the combat phase for Sportsbox. So you can kind of use it as a charge reaction in some ways. You'd be like, right, cool, I'm being charged. I'm not going to get the choice, in which situation I'm going to add 1 to the save rolls for this unit in 1 way. So you can be really reactive. It's an incredible buff to Nurgle. And I think really how I would like to see support characters go, I think that this is really, really cool. Like,
is it because one of them's a bard?
I mean, mainly because one of them's a bard.
What's the songs? Also, I think if anyone's a musician, they should write the songs from the titles.
Yeah. I think you should. Pete's made a good point in the chat that Plague Bearers obviously have got 32mm base and they only have got 1-inch range on their weapons. So a bit of a problem if you want to turn them into a blender unit, which makes sense. Rev says even better ally Gluttos or Scullion in to a Nurgle army, bring Geminids, and that's a tasty -4 in shooting to be hit if they're within 12 inches of Gluttos, and -3 to be hit in melee. So that's pretty rough. And also not forgetting that they pile in 6 inches. If your opponent makes a rubbish charge, sorry, not the pile in, the not pile in spell, or not spell, song. If your opponent makes like a pretty weak charge, isn't able to bring a lot in, and just make it so that they can't pile in, is really good. Like,
yeah.
So, just really good, really, really, really great upgrades. Nathan, how do you feel about like these? Not only in the Nurgle force, but as support characters, because I think they're well written support characters for the first time.
Oh yeah, they're super viable. They're like war chanters now, aren't they? They're almost essential, you'd say.
But unlike war chanters, no rolling, right?
Yeah, war chanters don't roll.
Don't they? To do the chant, they do.
Oh yeah, the chant, but the frenzy, the +1 damage.
Yeah, of course.
They're just
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, but they're costed appropriately, aren't they? I mean, they are they're quite a hefty cost. 160 points now, or something like that. 150 points.
So 100. It's 140 points for the Scrivener and 150 points for Sloppity Bilepiper. So yeah, it's not cheap.
So it's quite a chunk for a little 5-wound model, but
with a 5-up DPR though.
Yeah. But it's the yeah, I think it's only fair, and yeah, it's great. Yeah, I mean, you're going to see them, aren't you?
I think so.
They're good. Yeah.
Yeah, you've made Nurgle forces better. Whether or not you be plague drones, like O'Neill is saying in the chat, he says he doesn't think it's out of the question to save 14 contagion points and summon either Scrivener or Barpiper after moving plague drones up the field, and then summon them 9 inches away from whatever they're about to charge. Is a nice idea. I don't mind having them in my list either, and running up the board with some plague bearers, which are already tanky as hell. I also like the idea of sticking them in Legion of Chaos Ascendant, of course, as well. And then you can have the spell so that they can fight on death, which is another nice little bonus, and I think is quite cool. So they've just got lots of options, which is really fun. But the kind of key takeaway is that they give your army flexibility by having a character in your army, which is great. And yes, I just choose the result, and I'm not so certain how I feel about that. But it gives you, as a player, tactical flexibility, and I think that's excellent. I think that's really exciting. I think if you're playing Nurgle, and both characters are so fun. They're so good-looking models. They've got great narrative, and the fact that they're in the army now is just really cool, I would say. So yeah, I'm a big fan of this, and I think Games Workshop have done, or most importantly, the Sin guy right now has done a really good job of producing those. So I think that's good. Compare the price of Sloppity and Sportsbox against the Skink Priest. I mean, to be fair, yes, that's also another point. 150, 140 for these buff characters, Nathan, versus Hags and also Skink Priests. These guys are still better pointed, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. You're paying for a DPR, aren't you? But I mean, it's almost double the points.
Effectively, and arguably, they worked very differently as well. A Skink Priest in the hero phase is go be scarier, and then the Skink's yeah, no problem, and this is Sloppity's running up the board behind them like a lunatic.
Yeah. I think the only benefit I think to this buff over, I mean, the Skink ones are kind of crazy gross anyway. I think the benefit of these is, like we said a minute ago, because they're a combat phase choice, you can manipulate it to what you want that combat round, can't you? You get charged, you're cool, it's your scariest unit. It made a 10-inch charge, but you've got one model in, no more pile in.
It's good. They make a weak charge.
That's really interesting. I think it's really interesting that they can keep changing on the fly. And I like the idea of a Sloppity at the back playing his bagpipes, singing. Early one evening, my pustel was seeping. And just some lads at the back being oh, what the fuck's this guy? Great.
Yeah, great. I think they've done a great job. A round of applause from me, personally. And I think I would like to see some of those support characters that we do have out there in the world. I mean, it's actually, no, let's balance that conversation a little bit. How do you, Skink Priests and Hags are probably too cheap, right? Nathan, what's a Rune Lord at, points-wise? Is it 120, 110?
I want to say 100 points, but I could be wrong on that.
90. Thanks, Grinaldi and Magic
90. Wow.
You're all appreciated. So, again, still on the fairly cheap end. But how do we feel about these 4/5 wound characters, or 5 wound characters, let's just call them, although these guys have got technically a third more wounds. How do we feel about these characters in a world of Severith, Rue Archers? I mean, not even them. Croak with his global kind of Comet's Call spell. Do we really, I know we got the -1 to hit from Lookout Sword, but that's about it. Do we feel that these are actually over? I think that they're about right points-wise, and I think that the Hags and the Rune Lords and everything else is probably a bit too cheap. Although, actually, I mean, the Rune Lord does quite a bit, but, anyway, we've either got characters that are in the 80 to 90 bracket, or we have the characters in the 140, 150 bracket, around there. And it's arguable that the 140, 150 bracket guys need to come down because there's just a lot of persistent threats that exist in the meta that can take them out. A lot of persistent threats. Be that targeted spells, be that, Kairos through a portal, just turning a bloke into a spawn straight off, James, which I know you love.
Best ability. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, Severith, Sentinels, Shadow Stonkers. There's a bunch of characters that are not safe. Nathan, you got any thoughts about, reducing the points of these? And maybe, it sounds fair, but actually maybe they should be a bit cheaper.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you look at all the other buff characters that are similar thing, then you would want them to be priced similar to them. I do think some of those could come up, and these have probably got room to come down 20 points or so. War Chanter is 110 points, and
6
yeah,
wounds on a War Chanter, though. Am I right?
yeah, yeah, but he doesn't have a 5-up DPR, so these guys are probably more survivable than a War Chanter. Yeah, but
Because they
yeah,
at least get a save against the mortals.
yeah. So, yeah, and they've got a better save in general against normal wounds as well. These guys got a 4-up, 5-up,
5-up save.
5-up. So War Chanter's got a 4-up. I want to say, yeah. So, yeah. I mean, so these guys have got a 5-up, 5-up. The War Chanter's only got a 4-up. So I'd say they're similar survivability. These guys are probably more survivable than a War Chanter, and they've got more buff selection. So they probably are more
And
points.
it's automatic. They just choose.
Yeah. Which, yeah. So whereas some things you have to roll for, like the Rune Lord. But that just goes to show how badly pointed things like the bloody skink Star Priest is.
Yeah. 100%. They should
yeah.
we're not. What's interesting is we're talking about survivability, but I think one of the key points really here is, War Chanter, Skink Priest, and these guys is a really good kind of conversation in that you're rolling to do a prayer on the War Chanter is like an automatic buff, which is amazing, and arguably is really why that whole army is able to play. I think if you were just hey, no War Chanter +1 damage now, they drop several levels in competitive ability, straight off the bat. They just drop down. Or you just change your playstyle very significantly. Instead of ever going for output, you play a kind of more defensive Leo, Ratunan kind of style, Iron Jaws. But you've got one automatic ability and then one ability you can do a buff from on a 3-up. And that's arguably better than a wizard who's in the 140, 150 category, because a wizard is casting and you can try and stop a cast, so you've got that available. These guys are automatically picking something, which is great. However, Skink Priest is automatically picking something, casting a spell and generating a fucking... Oh no, that one is 140, but the lower ones have got a 3-up and picking an ability and they're sub 100 points, and that's bonkers. So those guys just need to come up points anyway. So I think you're right there. Yeah. Right, okay. So there's also Battalion. Before we get to the Battalion, maybe our good friend John Etland, a huge fan of the Beasts of Nurgle, will be happy about their change. Nath, do you want to take us through the Beasts of Nurgle War Scroll?
Sure thing. Let me just pull it up again. Right. So, Beasts of Nurgle are huge, slug-like abominations that are possessed of an exuberance at odds with their horrific appearance. They gleefully rip and crush their playmates until their joy proves lethal, before lolloping off in search of new victims. So, these guys are 8 wounds with a 5-up save. Okay.
Yep.
8 wounds with a 5-up save, bravery 10, and they move 5 inches.
They move 5 inches. They do.
Yeah. They've got so melee weapons. They've got clawed limbs and a fanged maw, which is 1 inch, 4 attacks, 4s, 3s, -1, doing 2 damage.
It's quite nice.
Yeah. And then tentacles and slobbering tongue, which is D6 attacks, 4s, 3s, no rend, doing 1 damage. There we go. And they've also got disgusting resilient, so they're 5-up DPR.
On 8 wounds is great.
Yeah. And then abilities wise, they've got other ones. They've got is acid slime trails. So the paralytic goo seeps from the skin of these disgusting creatures. Before this unit makes a retreat move, roll the dice for each enemy unit within 3, and on a 4-up, the unit takes D3 mortal wounds. So it's nice, especially because they are attention seekers, and the Beasts of Nurgle seek out playmates with an enthusiasm that is rarely reciprocated by the horrified objects of their desire.
Story of my love
This
life.
unit can run and or retreat and still charge later in the same turn. In addition, when this unit retreats, it can pass across other models in the same manner as a model that can fly.
So we know who wrote this one. The cheeky in addition.
Yeah.
Yeah, so run and retreat. So that movement 5, run and charge. Obviously, Nurgle wheel faster. The bell on a Great Unclean one faster. So these guys could be pretty quick. Not super fast, but you could be looking at maybe 10 inches plus quite comfortably, and then maybe some runs and charges. So that's quite interesting, I think. And then the last one,
Yeah.
sorry.
And then the last one is Pestilent Battering Rams. The Beasts of Nurgle smash into enemy battle lines, crushing the enemy and unleashing myriad plagues as they flail around with joy. After a model from this unit finishes a charge move, roll a dice for each enemy unit within 1 inch of that model. On a 2-up, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. If the unit has more than one model, roll to determine if mortal wounds are inflicted after each model finishes its charge move, but do not allocate the mortal wounds until all of the models in the unit have finished their charge moves.
Mm-hmm. So basically a 2+ take D3 mortal wounds. If you've got 2 of them in the unit, then you get to roll 1 for each model, and that's 2d3 potentially mortal wounds on the charge. Then if you leave, if you're somehow survived in combat, you leave, and then on 4-up another d3 mortal wounds, and then you've also got the combat attack as well, because obviously you've got run and charge and retreat and charge. So some really fun stuff there. There are 120 points though, thanks to Pete in the chat. So they've gone up by 50 points, but they've also they've always had the mortal wounds when they leave. But I think maybe 120 points is not too bad. Like, truth be told, honestly, like the 5-up save's pretty rough, but the 5-up DPR basically is really the save you're rolling on. So you got a 5-up. A cheeky one of them in your list, maybe. That Plague Bearer block makes it so you can't pile in. You get the little charge on the flank, you do some mortal wounds, and you run away. It's not brilliant by any stretch of the imagination, I think. I think ultimately it's a bit of a gimmick. It's not really going to work. There's also the battalion from the core book, which we're all still huge fans of, with Horticulus Slimux, of course, and his ability to plant multiple trees with Beasts of Chaos at the same time, which is really, really cool. However, I don't think it's going to make it into competitive play. But it is an upgrade. It's not quite the same level of upgrade that the turtle got for Idoneth Deepkin, but it's still better than it was, and you could run a really fun-looking army with a bunch of Beasts of Nurgle in the list, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah, they're not completely garbage, are they? They are maybe a tad on the expensive side, but they are fun, and if you want to play them, then there's no reason why not to. Definitely.
And then when you can summon them too, I imagine.
You can.
So I guess like there's a point, isn't there, where like if you're like, all right, they've got like 4 models on that back objective, and this thing can like shimmy around at the end of the game, maybe with a run and a charge. I mean, that's all I can see it really doing, and I can never decide if I like them.
You would just summon Plague Bearers instead, really.
Yeah, but look how cute it's. Well, if I've got none in my case, I've just got one of these lads. It's got to do the business. It's all I got left.
Yeah. But so not great, but there's some nice like tech in there. Maybe if they came down points, because I think these are the ones that can come down points. Razordon's currently 80 points with skinked handlers. Salamander's 110 points has been pointed out in the chat with handlers. 120 points for these fellas. No access to a teleport, running about the place, and not that survivable. Sentinels 140, so another extra 20 points. I could shoot you from 36 inches away. So I don't think they really like make it into the meta based on their war scroll and the points that they're at. But bring them down some points next GHB. Put them down to like, I don't know, 100, maybe 90 points. You've got a unit that you can play around with, I think. Like it's kind of like, think of it as like a mini chariot, which would be quite cool.
Yeah. You compare them to the those things, and again, it's so hard to justify anything when you compare them to bloody salamanders and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, and you have to, because that's the way the world works.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
because that's what they'll be fighting against. Yeah,
They will. They will. I mean, even like a unit of hard boys. How much is a unit of hard boys now? 5 of them for 110? 100?
100 points. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's 10 wounds with a 4-up save, who probably beat this guy up in a combat over time. You score him. You got more bodies on the objective. You score him more. So yeah, it's just there's a bunch of, and that's without damage too on their weapon profiles. Anyway, and then also because they don't work as well with the other release as well, because they've already got a lot of attacks on their war scroll, so having +1 on them is like, yeah, whatever. Like 6s to hit doing mortal wounds is not really a thing either. Although, you know, if you roll hot, you could be getting 10 attacks from each one, but it's much better to run around with Plague Bearers, I think. Right, okay. So, I'm hoping, by the way, this means that they're re-looking at the Nurgle book, and we do see a Nurgle book at some point, because you now have to have 3 books if you're going to play with Nurgle, which it seems a bit, to be honest. So, there's also a War Scroll Battalion, which is bold of them. And that is called the Invidian Plague Host. So you take a Sloppity Bilepiper and a Sportsbox Scrivener, which are already taken because they make our army way better, but they're named characters and unique, so unfortunately that means no artifacts for you. And then 2 units of Plague Bearers, which is nice. And then, first time a Plague Bearers unit is from this battalion is destroyed, a new Plague Bearer unit with 10 models is added to your army. And you set it up wholly within your territory, wholly within 6 inches of the edge of the battlefield, and more than 9 inches away from enemy units. So it's really, really, really bad. Right at the back of the board, really far away from anything, is where you set them up. Yeah. So wholly within your territory, within 6 inches of the edge of the battlefield, and more than 9 inches from the enemy. Now, your territory sometimes can be quite broad. It might be the sides. Could be the sides.
Yep.
Sometimes. Yeah. But I just, I'm not a fan. And then the command trait is add 1 to the bravery characteristic of a Nurgle Demons unit from this battalion, while they're wholly within 14 inches of Sloppity Bilepiper. So I would say the fact that, I mean, now it's not a terrible battalion. You know, summon 10 Plague Bearers. If you took 2 units of 10, and then you had the 2 named Bilepipers, and then you wanted to have some other Plague Bearers, and you took the named ones and stuck it behind a big unit of proper 30 Plague Bearers, it's quite cool. And then those 2 other 10s, maybe not terrible, maybe, but I wouldn't say brilliant. I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it depends what else is in the army. If you can use the other artifact, etc., I probably got a Great Unclean one. Maybe another, maybe a couple of Great Unclean ones or something, but I don't know. It's not wonderful. How many points is it again, sorry?
One, is it 140? I thought it was 140.
140, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's, I mean, 10 Plague Bearers, basically getting them for 140, plus the extra command point, which is always nice, and
an artifact. And an artifact in your army.
And an artifact, which hopefully you'll find useful. So, yeah,
but you would also,
not bad.
Yeah, but you'd be spending a lot, really. But, like, maybe, I think but there are better battalions already for Nurgle. I think, so, like, as a recap for us all, I think Nurgle has genuinely got better. There's been a huge update for Nurgle in those 2 characters, and they've got some much-needed buff pieces in their army to support units that they were already taking. Plague Bearers. I don't know if people are already taking Plague Drones, but Plague Drones more viable now, which is really nice. And then I think you're going to see an uptick in the usage of these models, which is really cool. More diversity in a Nurgle list, not just Blight Kings. Huge positive. Great update. Excellent work, Games Workshop. Really happy. Got any feelings on it, James, or should we move on?
No, it's good, isn't it? I'm not sure I'd ever take that battalion, because I think there's so many in the Nurgle book and the second book that there's probably a better one to take and not take named characters and blah, blah, blah. But I think, like, it's nice. I think it's always nice, isn't it? And it's nice to see, like, I think it's a good Nurgle buff. It should change the models we see, and it's not dumb strong.
All positives.
Yeah,
and gives the
huge,
player
really good.
choices. Yeah, gives the
Yeah,
player
and
choices.
I think you're right. So I'll just reiterate it. But like, I think like how those buff characters work in a game that should be about decisions and playing. Like the fact that you're like, cool, you've charged me, I do this, or I've charged you, I do this. Like, I think that's great. Big fan.
Yeah. And one of the things I'd like to ask about Sportsbox Scrivener really quickly, kind of looking at his very long kind of nose, you know, is why can't a nose be 12 inches long, James?
Yeah, absolutely, should be.
Yeah, because then it would be a foot.
Yeah, smell everything outside. Stop putting maths in the show. I don't like it.
It's mainly doing dad jokes. That's what I was mainly aiming for. Nathan got it.
You're
Right,
going to
okay.
give those flag bearers extra bravery at this rate.
That's what I'm aiming for. That's what I'm
Yeah.
aiming for. Oh, James, how does a penguin stick its house together?
I don't know. You tell me.
It glues it. All right, so Cities of Sigmar. Yeah, the Free Cities battle trait. So this is the Settler's Gain. And this is a new Cities of Sigmar, which includes Lumineth, which I think is fun. Yeah, exactly. So we'll talk about the Cities of Settlers Gain battle traits. So they're from the Realm of Haste. You can choose one extra Settlers Gain Free Guild hero or Arcane hero to have an artifact of power in the Settlers Gain army. In addition, you could add one to the casting rolls for Settlers Gain Collegiate Arcane Wizards. And actually, this is really exciting straight away, because if you've got some like bonuses, you've already got bonuses to cast from the Hurricane, which you're already taking already. So an additional +1 to cast is excellent on these spells, and also gaining an extra artifact is quite cool. Even if, Diadrin, thanks for the bits donation. That's lovely of you. So yeah, like, I think this is a nice update. Is it as good as Tempest Eye? No. Is it as good as Hammerhall? No. Is it as good as what's it called?
Hallowheart.
Hallowheart, of course not. But it's nice, right? It's nice and thematic. And then you've got Warriors of the High Districts, which is that you're able to basically have 1 in 4 units be Lumineth, and also 1 in 4 units also be Stormcast, which is quite nice. Which is a little bit of math to work out, basically. But it means you can have Stormcast and Lumineth in a Cities of Sigmar army, which is quite cool. I think that's quite nice. And then the command ability is Elven Training, which is really good. Yeah. Is a nice start note. You can use this command ability at the start of the Battle Shock phase, and this is really good. If you do so, pick one friendly Settlers game Lumineth Realm Lord's hero. Do not take Battle Shock tests in that phase for anyone basically in that army within range of that hero. So an 18-inch bubble of immune to Battle Shock for 1 CP, which is... So someone's just put Magic Horn has just talked about Dwarf Tiers. So it doesn't say... Free Guild and College just gain the most bonuses. They do gain it. However, that's what I would say. So because it's 1 Lumineth Realm Lord's hero, so Settlers gain Lumineth Realm Lord's hero. Do not take Battleshot tests for friendly Settlers gain Free Guild or Settlers gain College Arcane units within 18 inches of the hero. So you're better off with like your handgunners, let's say, or something like that.
Yeah. Well, dwarves don't want to be hanging around with these nutcases, so that's fine.
Well, actually, you know what? I would argue that there's some good opportunity cost for doing some for some dwarves in here, but we'll talk about it in a minute. So the command traits, you've got 3. One of them lets you fly. One of you on a 4+, you gain a command point, and another one you add 1 to hit and wound rolls for attacks made by melee weapons with this general, but subtract 1 from the save rolls made with melee weapons that target this general, which I think is quite interesting. So the artifacts of power are okay. The one I really like is Blade of Leaping Bronze, which is +2 to the attacks characteristic of that weapon. So if you double that up with the command trait, you can have a pretty smashy character, which I think is quite nice. You've also got an ability to come back on a 4-up if you're slain with 1 wound, which is terrible. I'm not into that at all. There's another one where you reduce, like, you basically can unbind a spell for free and it doesn't cost you, or unbind an endless spell, or dispel an endless spell. You can attempt to cast an extra spell with a silver plated wand. And then you've also
Why would you ever take the other one then if you could say that?
what +1 spell?
Oh, yeah, you'd just take the +1 spell. You'd never take you don't reduce the number of spells you can attempt to cast if you've attempted to dispel an endless spell. I mean, you've got +1 to cast. I can do that, or I cannot do that. And yeah,
100%. Yeah, I'm with you. And then and then Amulet of Haste, roll a dice after the bearer finishes a normal move, and they ran on a 2+, they can still make a charge later, which is whatever. And then there's another one which gives you a 6-up DPR save and a spell ignore on a 5. The spell lore, there are 3 spells. They're all rubbish, but I'll quickly fly through them. Drain Magic is cast on a 6, and if successfully cast until your next hero phase, subtract 2 from casting, dispelling, and unbinding rolls for wizards within 12 inches of the caster. And that's what I find I do. I have my wizard right next to all my opponent's wizards.
Wizard fight! Sexy Gandalf should not be at the front.
Sexy Gandalf should only be at the back. Go on, Meg. You keep making them videos. Right, so then... then Shield of Light is cast on a 6. You pick one friendly unit wholly within 12 of the caster until your next hero phase. They have a 6-up DPR, which is not good. And then Illuminate is a casting value of 6. If successfully cast, pick one enemy unit within 12 inches of the caster, visible to them, to your next hero phase, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks, bear my whistle weapons that target that unit. Now that's the one I really like, right? So that's everything that you get from Settler's Gain. +1 to cast. You can take some Lumineth characters, which is quite nice, and put them in your army, and you can really start fucking around with stuff. And you can build a pretty output-y combat character, right? +2 attacks, +1 to hit and to wound, but you reduce your save by 1. So I think you can make like a pretty beaty character. I wouldn't probably use a Star Drake, to be honest. I'd probably use something else. And also, the fact that you gain Illuminate Realm Lord's Hero to use the command ability. But that command ability, actually, is, I think, really interesting. I don't know how you feel, Nath. Wholly within 18 inches of a model, you're immune to Battle Shock is pretty significant. And the fact that you can make a tanky character. But the thing that's made this most exciting, I would say, is actually the War Scroll Battalion, the Zintal War Magi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Why?
I haven't seen it, but I just know what models are in it.
Okay, so it's got a Hurricanum, a Luminarch, and it's got a Battle Mage as well. Or most importantly, Arcoblade Lazarine is who is in here. They're all
that's
named.
a good name.
That's a great name. Yeah.
Hard to spell when you first at school, but other than that, good name.
Later on, you're just loving it, right?
Yeah.
Now, the Battle Mage from this battalion is a unique name character and must be from Heesh. All units from this battalion must have the Settlers Gain keyword, right? So, the Luminarch of Heesh isn't with a character on, I don't think, nor the Celestial Arcanum, which makes it not quite as good, but it does make it cheap.
No, the Hurricanum comes with a Battle Mage.
Oh, of course it does. Thank
Yeah.
you. Which means it's not a named character as well. So if you want to, you could give him an artifact, which is cool. And that's what I would do, because I'd like to talk about this. Yeah, so 740 points in total. But the Beacon of Intellect is... So this is the ability you get. When you use Searing Beam of Light for the Luminarch of Heesh from this battalion, you can re-roll the roll that determines if a unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. And the Luminarch of Heesh has got a really good output. Like a straight line, 30 inches, anything hit by it, D3 mortal wounds, you can re-roll it. So that's nice. In addition, when the Aura of Protection ability from the Luminarch from this battalion, add 1 to the roll that determines if a wound or mortal wound is negated. So a 6-up DPR goes from a 5-up DPR. And that turned Daughters of Cain from a good army to an amazing army, like not too long ago. And I think that battalion is something really interesting. Because one of the things that you see a lot in Cities of Sigmar, of course, at the moment, is a lot of bodies on the board, whether you're going like Tempest and Dispossessed, and you're going for that first turn having a really good armor save and you can just tank a bunch of stuff. Or you have very expensive Phoenix Guard who've got a 4-up armor save and a 4-up DPR. So they're just basically 60 wounds as opposed to just a fat 30 wounds. What this does is, because there is a load of shit in the Cities of Sigmar army. Loads of lads who are like, I wouldn't mind having a 5-up DPR for like being as part of this battalion. Specifically, I think of things like handgunners, probably not Free Guild Guard, but handgunners Like,
I just like the idea of a bunch of free guild guard with a like, we got a 5-up DPR, lads. Just walking around the board, not giving a shite, having a great day.
Yeah, so if you wanted to, you could go that way, right? You could go super efficient, and you could just get a lot of wounds with a 5-up DPR that can do some fun stuff. That's immune to battle shock if you go free guild. The other way to take it, as Grinaldi's pointed out, is sneak some fucking dwarves into this fucking elven fucking shit, right? Let's get them dwarves right in there, yeah. Because
someone had to build the walls.
Because dwarven bodies are pretty cheap. And put in a 5-up... Now, you won't get the immune to battle shock bubble because it doesn't affect free guild, which I think is the reason you go free guild with this kind of like list. But you get some pretty solid pluses to cast because the Hurricanum, +1 to hit across the army, 5-up DPR. It's fucking good, man. Yeah, Eternal Guard with a 3-up, 5-up. There you go. Like, it's
Iron
good.
Breakers, yeah.
Yeah, with a 3-up, 5-up. Fuck
them.
yes.
What about Phoenix Guard wouldn't, would they? Because they've already got their own.
you can't get stacking DPRs. Really, what you're doing is there's a battalion that we found, and you have to play Settlers Gain, but you can build a really survivable army. There's a linchpin of that the Luminarch surviving, but I think you could do something really fucking good with that battalion. Like, I think you can win? Do I think it's at Seraphon level? No. Go on, Nate. Sorry.
You can also take Stormcast in there as well and give them the DPR. So, pretty
also
good.
A great option. Yeah, a unit of 15 protectors.
Just
having a great time.
Oh, I love protectors. Best models. They'd stomp them giants now. All that damage and a DPR.
Yeah.
Stormcast back, baby.
So this is just promoted, in my opinion, huge list diversity for Cities of Sigmar. I think that's the big takeaway. I think the rest of the Settlers Gain stuff's quite nice, because you almost always took a Hurricanum anyway, so that means effectively you've got +2 to cast, which is pretty good. And also, sorry, I just want to reiterate, the spell lore, which I thought was really nice, because if you were thinking about kind of max Raging Outburst is the spell. Is add 1 to hit and wound rolls for attacks made by... Oh, no, sorry. Not that. The spell lore. Sorry.
Illuminate.
Has a casting value of 6. If successfully cast, pick one enemy unit within 12 inches of the caster that is visible to them. Don't forget you could use a spell portal if you wanted. And until your next hero phase, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by missile weapons. So you could... A whole bunch of units could really do that +1 to hit. If you were looking to build a kind of like cheap free guild gun line that's very tanky, would be super weird. Yeah,
you can also put 30-inch range archers in.
You could also put 30-inch range archers in, James. Thanks for pointing that out.
Don't even need line of sight.
That's true. I mean, you could also put in the Lumineth stuff so you don't have to put Teclis in, because Teclis obviously giving out that 5-up DPR aura. So you've got so many good tools coming out of that battalion, I think. And it's only because you give it a 5-up DPR aura. That's it. And the range, I think... Oh, it's not 18. I'm sure it's 14 or something weird. Let me just double check the range on the Luminarch.
Do you want me to have a look?
Yeah, it's okay. I've got it. It is... it's 10 inches. So it's 10 inches. But it's on a pretty big base. And if you just move it sideways, then it's a pretty big aura. Right? Ultimately. Just have it moving. Can you see what I mean, Nathan, about using it with Dispossessed?
Yeah. Well, using it with anything. It's great. 5-up ward save is... very nice thing to have, yeah.
Very nice.
It's 100% better than a 6-up. So, yeah.
Yes, loads better. Sequitors and Lord Arcanum. Umbral Spell Portal and Illuminate is also a good shout if you wanted those 36-inch shooters with +1 to hit is a way to take it. I don't think I'd go for that, though. I think what this really feels like is you just load up on cheap bodies and then you give them +1 to hit. Don't forget, you're also getting +1 to hit from the Hurricanum. So you're effectively getting +2 to hit if they're within 12 inches.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. You're probably more likely to want... because you still got empowered endless spells, so which is great. So you're probably looking at maybe a bridge or a boat or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Bridge plus Iron Drakes, that's a classic. I think one of the things you want to obviously look around is... Like, you could either go for something that's a bit more MSUE with shooters and looking for that. I think the spell casting is pretty good as well, just +2 to cast with the Hurricanum and the kind of spell lore. I think that's good. Artifacts are also the The battalion also gives you obviously access to a CP, which is nice, of course, but an extra artifact. So that means you've got 3 artifacts in your army, like from this. So that's pretty good.
How sold out are Luminarchs now?
Uh,
Do we just sell them all?
They're good. The people should have them anyway. I think the fact that it's just turned from a 6 up to a 5 up in that battalion makes it really, really, really good. And also great output. Do you know what the output is, James, on those guys? It's fucking great. Let me just read it out to you. So it's a 30-inch shot. It's only one shot, right? But it automatically hits. You roll it. It's do not use this attack sequence. Instead, pick 1 point on the battlefield within range of this model's serum beam of light and visible to them. Then draw a point. So basically, draw a straight line, roll dice for each unit that has models passed across this line. For each roll that is equal to or greater than the serum beam of light, it takes D3 mortal wounds. And it buddies up super well with the Hurricanum, right? Because of its spell, which is Chain Lightning, which is really, 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 really good. So Chain Lightning is casting value of 6, and you pick a unit within 18 inches. They suffer D3 mortal wounds, and then roll a dice for every enemy unit within 6 inches of the original target. On a 4+, they take D3 mortal wounds. So, and then they've got a shooting attack, which is unwounded. You end up with 3 Storms of Stemek attack. Oh no, 1 attack now. Is that right? The Storm of Stemek. Roll a number of dice equal to the Storm of... Yeah, so you've got 3 attacks initially. On a 2+, you take D3 mortal wounds. So if you got within 18 inches, let's just call it 18 inches, you would do 3 units would take D3 mortal wounds from Storm of Stemek on a 2-up. You would have a line of shots that would do D3 mortal wounds basically through your opponent's army in a straight line. And then you could do Chain Lightning with +2 to cast, and then looking to bounce that through your opponent's army. So it's a lot of mortal wounds. I think it's really good. I like it loads. Loads and loads. Is it top tier? No. Is it really good? Fuck yes. So,
also, great models. And actually, because I was just nosing, £35 a model, and currently in the weird box for 50 quid for all 3 of them, lads.
Oh, is it still on sale, the box?
Yeah, still 50 quid. I can, it's still there, still on the website. It's still in stock, and it's still 50 quid.
It's honestly great box. Great units as well. Wicked models. Really, really cool. I'm a huge fan of that kit. I think it's really fun. Do I think you're going to be able to build, you might be able to build a pretty top-end army, I think, with that 5-up DPR bubble. Will it take up tournaments? I'm not sure.
I think in the right hands of the right player, maybe it could, because I also think, those Cities books have so many models that people don't even remember what they do.
Hurricanum's everywhere. It's in every list, pretty much.
Yeah. But I mean, there's probably some janky stuff that we can put in there, or someone will find that goes in there that having a 5-up DPR really makes it strong.
I think it's just there's some cheap bodies in there, man, and immune to battle shock as well. So how much are Pistoliers at the minute? You could go for the Pistoliers, so then you use Illuminate. Let me just find out how much some of this stuff is, because I think you can go for some really janky stuff. So let's just bring up War Scroll Builder. Big shout out to Tony P, the Warhammer hero that we all need. So I think that's important. Nathan, how much is the Dispossessed stuff?
Which ones are you looking at?
What would you like?
I'll look at them now. So if you want, James, Black Ark Corsairs, it's 280 points, I think, for 40, which is pretty wild. Bleak Swords, I think you get 40 for 320 points. So you could have 2 bricks of 40 Bleak Swords with a 5-up DPR. They suck, though, so don't do that.
Pistoliers are 100.
Pistoliers are 100. And don't forget, you can make them immune to Battle Shock and give them a 5-up DPR with a command point, which is super cool. What are the other ones? You could go Flagellants if you wanted to. Freeguild Greatswords are only 360 points with +1 to hit. Would be super fun. The Crossbowmen are 100. The Freeguild Guard are 280 points for, I think it's 40? So you can have a load of wounds with a 5-up DPR.
Yep. You could go Great Eagles, because they're still a option.
What?
So there's loads of options, right? You could do some really, really good stuff. Is the basics. Twitch chat, what do you think? Nathan, you got any thoughts?
Yeah. It's not a bad city, really. It does revolve a fair bit about taking that battalion, I reckon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
Don't
yeah.
forget you could put the Lore Master into that army from Lumineth Realm Lord, so you could just go hold an objective, which is quite fun.
Oh yeah, that guy. That guy.
That
And those
fucking
twins.
guy.
What about those twins?
You
Nobody
put the
knows.
twins
But,
in
yeah.
if you want to generate loads of CP, but the twins are expensive.
Yeah.
Can I just thank the Lord Whale for donating £10 to the show? That's lovely. And thanks to Comrade Parrot for following us. So that's the Broken Realms Teclis book. And we've done the Lumineth stuff last week. We've done the Nurgle and the Cities bit this week. So ignoring Flesh Eater Courts, which is rubbish, like, I gotta say, really impressed by what they've done. I think they've given us a competent city, which is cool. I would say that they've obviously improved 2 of the factions significantly. I mean, 1 very significantly, and then both. So I think all over as a review, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, the thing about that Settlers Gain, it means if you like the look of the elf models, if there's something wrong with you or whatever, then you can buy a few of them and just add it to your City of Sigma armor. You can at least play with them, and then so it's quite a good way of just getting a small force together and being able to include it in stuff that you've got already.
Agreed.
So which gives you added flexibility. So it's cool.
Okay, good. James, you got any thoughts?
It's nice, isn't it? Have you read the narrative, Rob?
I have not, or we're specifically not talking about it yet, because it only came out on Saturday, right? So I think...
Yeah. I just wanted a thumbs up, thumbs down, maybe. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited to read that, and I think it's cool. Like, anytime a book adds some cool rules, I mean, like the Nurgle ones, I think is exciting. I'd like to see some Plague Bearers back on a board because they make me laugh. It's a shame they didn't buff Nurglings 10 times because that would have been great. But other than that, big fan.
Okay. Battering loved the lore in the book. We could maybe talk about it next week if you want. I'm super happy to talk about the lore next week. I think it'd be fun also to deep dive like another kind of one of those like performing lists at the moment at the top end, because I really enjoy those deep dives and I think that's super good. But yeah, I think overall a great set of stuff, and I think we're quite lucky actually that we've been getting really good output from Games Workshop. Like the first one felt a bit rough maybe because the Idolaters stuff was a bit all over the place, and I don't know if anyone remembers Misthaven. Does anyone remember that was a thing?
That crack den. Yeah, I remember that place.
Yeah, so that was a thing. Hello, Tristan. Thanks for being in the chat. My man who sent me flowers. So yeah, but it seems like this book is on form. Excited for the next book because it feels like the Sin guy is writing all of these books. That's kind of how I feel. Like there's been some real thought put into it. So Be'lakor next. Oh my god. Be'lakor next. So looking forward to that. Yeah. Right, okay. That's it for the show. I'm just talking, but there's really nowhere to take this, so I'm ending the show. Ending it. That's what I'm doing.
That Lore Seeker guy is pretty tasty if you give him some of those extra attacks as well, eh?
Right. Although he's unique, so but I don't know if he's unique named.
There's only one of him.
Yeah, there's only one of him.
Yeah, but he can still take artifacts, can he? Or not? No.
I don't.
Isn't it named characters can't take it though? Can they? Not unique. So if he's unique, he can still take one because he's not named.
Unique. Can you name can't? I think is the situation. So yeah. So at the moment, he exists as the only unique non-named hero in the game. So he might become a named hero, is what we're talking about.
Let's call him Ron. That's what I want him to be called.
But Marcus Rock points out, waiting for the FAQ as it happened for the Blue Scribes. So we're pretty certain that he can't. I wouldn't try and think about giving the Lore Seeker
thing. Yeah, fair enough. All right.
Right, okay. Well, let's go do a raid. Any shout-outs before we head off, Nathan? James?
I'll shout out my fantastic team member, Mr. Fantastic Guy, all one word, some uppercase letters inside there. Yeah, we're going to kick everybody's ass in a tournament very soon.
You're going to lose. After me and Nick have done with wiping the floor with James and Owen, it's going to be an easy game, easy life.
You're gonna get snowballs and rats all over you.
James, any shout outs? Lord Whale, I did thank you for donating £10. I did. What a legend. Thank you so much. James, you got any shout outs?
I see I would shout out about the team event, but I don't need to because me and Owen have already won. Okay. So big shout out to everyone in the chat. It's been a lovely little evening. And this week I'm going to read it all. I'm going to read all of them because I've still not read Marathi. So this week I'm going to read it all.
We should next week get like really into it. I should be like, right, Nagash, tell me your feelings, James. You'd be like, right, fucking livid with this in this. Do you know what I mean? Like each character will go through individually.
Fine,
yeah?
I'm reading it all this week. I'm gonna.
All right, done.
Well, there's only like 50, 60 pages. There's hardly any, so it's fine.
All right, Nathan. Don't you know how fast I read?
All right, fucking destruction player.
Just get Meg to read it to you.
Yeah, do that.
Bedtime, story time.
Well, I want to thank. I really want a lore show. All right, we'll do that next week. Maybe Dan will be back, so it'll take 4 to 18 hours for a lore show with Dan here. And I'm in for it. I'm living for it, in fact. Fuck all pictures, though. Correct, Adrian. Nathan just looks at the pics. Think of James. We've got to read the words. Nathan just looks at the pictures over 60 pages.
Fair.
It takes him minutes. Yeah. Thanks to the Twitch chat. Thanks to everyone on Patreon. Thanks to the podcast. You guys are brilliant. Thanks for tuning in today. It's been great. Don't forget we're live all this week. We're also doing live coverage this Saturday of a tournament, so obviously tune in for that. Let's go raid someone on Twitch. Nathan Prescott will give you the choice today. Would you like to raid someone into Warhammer or into something weird?
I will go with Warhammer, I think.
Oh, Nathan, you've let me down.
Okay, all right. So,
Yeah.
who would you like to raid? Would you like to raid? I'll give you some options for.
Yeah,
to
you
raid.
do that.
So there's Lou Wonderland, who I think is painting skinks, but is a girl. There is. It's quite nice to say what they're painting. That's good. Someone's painting an Escher gang. Which is some Necromunda. Someone is painting some bull grins.
Apparently, Louis great.
Yeah, and then what else? Someone is painting up their Blood Bowl gang. And it looks like it might be Gits. I don't know. I don't think it is.
Snotlings.
Oh, and someone is painting up a Fire Splitter Battlesmith, but I think we've raided him before.
Okay.
So who?
Well, I think we should do the AOS one. So let's do the skink person, whoever that was. Yeah.
Okay, that's Lou Wonderland. That's who we're going to raid today.
Nuts.
So everyone jumps in the chat. Thanks everyone for tuning in today. He'll choose skinks. He did. So make sure you say some nice stuff. Ask people some questions or whatever else we do. Thanks James. Thanks Nathan for being on the show. You guys are great.
Thank you.
And don't forget to go and vote for Dan's thing. The link will be in the show notes. Go link, or whatever he needs, like all of his stuff. So that'd be cool. Everyone have a nice day. Goodbye.